Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode number 39. I'm here with Janet Eichhorst. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Jill.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
And I'm Jill Renee Feeler. So glad you guys are here. So, we have a follow on topic from number 38. And one of the things that we were talking about towards the end of that episode, which is a great one, you'll want to go back and listen to that if you haven't. 39, we broached this topic of practitioners and those that are looking for maybe an update or even an intense reprogramming of your subconscious and some important, possibly unconventional and new ideas related to how that successfully happens. And this information may be really, really helpful for those that know that they have some self-sabotaging patterns in their subconscious and they haven't been successful, even though they've tried many, many things. So
Mm,
I'm excited for some new ideas. I encourage everybody to have a curiosity about your mind, body, spirit right now, that you might hear something new, you might hear something different. That new thing may not be what you wanted to hear. It may be exactly what you've been waiting to hear your whole life. But
mm,
we're just asking you to consider it because it might be very helpful, again, as a practitioner for sure, and as a client of practitioners that's been looking for a smoother way at being you.
hmm Yeah, I'm super excited about this too because when we think about our sub and our unconscious, these are the drivers that have been kicking our butts in mostly non helpful ways
Mm.
for a long time. And people don't talk about it necessarily. And where's the solution? Like people will identify it. And there are all kinds of practices. And some of them will work for some people. So I think that the more we can kind of open up the container a bit more and our minds, because they're anchored in there, they're there and those bonds have to be loosened up in some way for them to not be there anymore.
Yeah. Another metaphor that I have found really helpful in my client work is the thoughts and the beliefs coinciding with the subconscious are kind of like our software.
Mm,
And all of us have technology that we use that has software, and you get a software update. That doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't need to cause anything to crash. It can just be like, I don't know what happened there, but things seem to be working better. So it's all
mhm.
just for up for your consideration.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give the image too, or the idea or the visual of we're all wired in a certain way as source energy to live in a very free, enjoyable, creative way. And so when we're talking about the sub and unconsciousness, we're talking about what prevents that from operating normally, how we were designed as incredible beings here on this planet. And so that's why this is vital
Mm,
for us to really live in our fullest way, which is what we all want. I mean,
that's good.
at least everybody I know wants that.
Yeah. Janet, I don't want this to come across as contrarian to what you just said, but it
Mhm.
might be. And I just want to completely first honor everything that you just said. I too share a vision that everybody here on earth has the
Mm,
potential for joy and an enjoyable life. And I do have a chunk of my clientele that might be more on the neurodivergent side
mm,
in the way that joy means something very different to them.
yeah.
So I just wanted to extend this to those folks as well, that if you've been trying to get in joy and trying to be in joy, but it doesn't look like Janet and it doesn't look like me, and you must be doing something wrong, you might not be doing anything wrong.
Mhm.
And that would be another reason to consider whom your practitioner is, because I know that Janet has helped many different individuals, including those that might be more on a neurodivergent range of the spectrum where maybe the goal isn't joy.
Mhm.
Maybe the goal is a sense of purpose and ease and flow that is your own version of joy. Does that
Yeah.
make sense, Janet?
Yeah, absolutely, and this has come up in a couple of and I'm glad that you bring that up because
Yeah.
this is the whole idea that we're doing here is we want this available to everybody and
Yes.
anybody, and your uniqueness is so celebrated and honored that I can't tell you how happy it makes me feel. I mean, it brings me to tears right now
Mhm.
when I think about you get to express yourself and live as you wanna live,
Yeah.
whether that's appearing even expressionless in this reality.
Mm.
We're not talking about the outer. The outer does oftentimes reflect the inner, but I'm talking about that really inner way where everything feels aligned for you
Mhm.
and everything flows freely in a way that you like.
That's right.
And that can look however it is. I mean, I think about people with dry senses of humor and, you're like, their lips didn't even move. Like, how is that possible? Like,
Yeah.
really?
So
So,
I just wanted to offer that that's important because when I hear you say enjoyable, I know you mean it in a wide spectrum of what joy can mean to individuals. And I just want to make sure everyone feels like they're a part of this.
yeah, because everybody. Yeah, so thanks for
Ease, flow, grace, and possibly enjoying as you enjoy this reality. So, is it okay if I kick off
Yeah.
one of the common things I see that is for somebody that is looking for a software update, reprogramming their subconscious, trying to be better at not self-sabotaging? I often find that in traditional therapy and traditional let's see, psychotherapy, therapy, and counseling, there is this mode, and it's similar to what you had offered in 38, Janet, where you were talking about the conventional version of we're all a sponge. So anything in our subconscious was based on stimuli as children, and then we talked about actually, and then there's a lot more, right? If you are trying to get results as a practitioner and or as a client with only the view that self sabotage and dis ease comes from things that happened in childhood, you are missing a huge part of the equation that matters. So, for those that's working, that's awesome. For those that are like, I feel like I'm looking for a problem in my childhood, but I don't actually think I have any serious problems in my childhood, please trust yourself. Please trust yourself that you are not missing anything. Don't go looking for or manufacturing challenges in your childhood that are not real, because that will create new problems. Okay? So you don't even have to go to the story, the beginnings of your you as a human. You can actually get amazing results as well from an examination, a contemplation of how you are wired as a soul in your you as in this reality, and start playing with some assumptions there, which is a part of your subconscious, right? So that's another part. And then another part in less conventional therapy is, well, it must be from a past life. I have trouble with money. I've always had trouble with money. In another life, this must be a karmic balancing where I was greedy, I was a son of a bitch, and I was a hoarder, and I could not share, and now I don't have anything in this lifetime. It has to be that. That's quite an interesting software that you're running in your subconscious and in your conscious. But what if that also isn't true? What if it is simply true that there's a completely different explanation for why you and money don't have a healthy relationship? And what is very common in my clientele, and this might be true of this audience too, is that money means selfishness. So every time you make money, you keep trying to get rid of it. And subconsciously, you don't want that problem. of having more than you need. So you would prefer to be a good person and kind and not greedy by having less. That is programming. That
Mhm.
is in your subconscious, and it is also in your conscious. And you can offer new software there that to have money doesn't mean you're greedy. To sit in first class on a trip you've always wanted to take doesn't mean you're an asshole.
Yeah, that is, I mean, I would call those beliefs, right? That's a form of programming. It's something that I believe is true. And it's funny because a belief can be grounded in an experience from childhood and it can come from
Can
some
be.
other dimensional existence.
Yes.
And sometimes that doesn't even matter. So,
So why even
so,
go there? Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes it does. And well, how do you know the difference? Well, you know when you know, because if you keep at the process of being present to it, you will know because it will lead to that if it needs to, right? And if it doesn't need to, don't. And we're getting into such a level of efficiency and the way things are changing right now. You might have had to do it the other way in terms of going back, and now you may not need to. And the other thing is the way that you can go back, and this is very much a part of my work, is you go right to the place where you need to go back to, and all the other stuff you don't care about because it doesn't matter, right? You don't have to like systematically go through. It's like, yeah, that's too much work. Like, wait, what's really happening here? um and I wanted to say we have clues. And I wanna bring listening into the conversation.
Hmm.
Whew, let's just breathe a minute on that. Listening.
Hmm.
There are so many ways that we can listen. We think some people may think it's only about our ears, but listening is also paying attention and allowing our whole sensory experience to be present to information. And sometimes it's so simple because our words do reflect things that give us big clues. We're also emanating energetics. And some people are really good at kind of listening and being present to the energetics that somebody has. And people see that. And as a practitioner and working with practitioners, what I know, if I'm really on and in my skill set, that's how I help people learn so that who does the healing really? The person does the healing. I'm just assisting and midwifing and illuminating and bringing in energetics for people. So the more that we can help people learn how to listen and bring in their awareness, which is happening right now, right in this moment, you have an opportunity to adjust your awareness in this moment. Whenever you listen to this or watch this, and allow that to happen for you, it's a choice. It's a choice for you. And that's where the clues lie. And the information comes to us that we need. This is what I find, right? So there's so much here in terms of how easy this could be. And if it's not easy for you, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, as Jill says oftentimes, because sometimes things are layered. Why? I don't even know, nor do I care. What we're looking for is allowing you to be more of who you are. And if for some level of wisdom somewhere or some even weird circumstance, however it happened, things need to come off in layers, I'm going with it. And sometimes it's we don't want to. overstimulate our nervous system. That's one reason I have found things go slowly. Our software sometimes, if anybody has actually worked with software programs, there's generally steps to follow. You upgrade your computer and you forget one of those steps and it won't work and you could blow the whole thing, right? And all of a sudden your computer's not functional anymore. Like
One
if
of the
you're
reasons I hate Microsoft, by the way, and traditional PCs. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm an Apple girl because of those things. I had too many of the software update, didn't work with the hardware, crashed. I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
oh, that's why I went.
Cohesive to
I mean,
Apple.
to me, my PCs, it would only be a matter of time where it would slow down so much and I couldn't fix it, nor could I take it to somebody that would fix it because the speed just went
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah, they're
I'm with
not
you there, sister.
designed by the same I used to work at Hewlett Packard. I know this, right?
Yes.
There was a well, we'll all work together, but it's not designed from the beginning together. So there's
Yes.
constantly this
Intertwinement in a way, which is no different than how we're wired.
no different.
No different. It's a really great example. Wow. Mm.
Thank you for saying everything that you said, Janet, because I love how you offered it from the practitioner standpoint. And I completely agree with you that in many ways, because of your giftedness, you're able to pinpoint exactly when when back there, right? And I think you use the word when you go back, you know exactly where to go back. Otherwise,
Mhm.
what's the point, right? And we've shared this before, but I do want to make sure it's also in this episode. You're never going back to where you were. And that's exciting. You're recalling from where you are now. So if something serious and not to your benefit did occur in your lifetime, and you're doing that from this adult version of you, that's a benefit. Because you are more than you were then. You are possibly far more equipped and far more savvy at handling something that you felt like you couldn't handle back there. So to me, it's a lot less scary. And when you are partnering with somebody that you know is there with love and compassion and in a non judgmental way,
Mhm.
that is that is to me is the type of alchemy that is enduring.
Yeah, I'll share hmm. So say there was some trauma, and when somebody feels that trauma again, they feel like they're that if it happened as a child, that child. And so there's literally a form of compartmentalization that happened where when I'm in that, if I don't have access to me, the bigger me, it is, well, torturous, right? So, and this is unconscious. This is that driver of that trauma, of that fear, of that pattern of how I coped with it and how I survived is the subconscious driver. In this specific situation, we know that there's a whole lot of other situations, but in this situation, and so in that moment when that's up, I don't have my greater resources available to me if I'm in that seemingly compartmentalized state. And so that's what breaks that up is when I get access to that greater part of me and let this happen right now in any way it can for you around anything, because that's what we're doing right now is that access can open up so that foundational you is accessible in ways even when trauma or subconscious stuff comes up, because that's how it alchemizes and comes into coherence in and through that beautiful source energy, whatever's required. It's an unconditionally love-based vibrational frequency that can instantaneously shift things.
Hmm. For anyone that touched, I would just encourage you to notice if there's a new sense of hope in yourself, and just an encouragement that, oh my God, maybe I could actually create a new ending here for myself. I would put a big exclamation point on that with a hell yeah.
And we're also planting seeds here for if you find yourself in that situation. We are planting seeds in your subconscious and unconscious that you are not alone. So let that part of you just intend that that be true for you. Loosely intend it and then let it go. So at any point, if you have a moment that comes up and you're uncomfortable freaking out on any level, use that breath and you'll see that there's an opportunity there that perhaps wasn't before, because that's what we're doing. You have the power to, I don't know if I want to use that word, to touch your sub unconscious. That's the power you have as a creator being here.
Yes.
It's yours. It's not anybody else's. You compartmentalize that for a very dang good reason,
Hmm.
because you couldn't deal with it. And this doesn't matter where it came from either. Or you just accepted it as true and it wasn't, right? You have the ability to do that. And this might be new for some people. We have kind of been, I don't know, taught or demonstrated that it's some, because we haven't known how to access it. And just the belief that it's hard or that you can't or that it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. If you have thought that's true and maybe you just accept it as true because somebody told you and you didn't think about it,
Yeah.
let's just, look at that one right there, right? Because it's not true. You can't access it. It's you. It's you. Oh, yeah, there we go. Soften, breathe, soften. Yeah. So, what is this that we're doing right now? Working with source energy in very open and pure ways. That's it. We've all got access to this. And we have a level of openness here, right? We're relaxed and we're inviting in the opportunity for change. Yeah.
Yeah. That was so beautiful, Janet.
Mm.
Yeah, just everybody let yourself pause if you need to. Let yourself wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Let yourself remain open to the stillness that Janet's offering right here.
I just want to say everybody's a great alchemizer, even if you think you're not.
Yes.
That makes me want to cry because I just feel how people think they're not. Oh, only so and so can do that because, it's like, not true.
Yeah. When you were talking about those different I think you used the term compartmentalization that we, created with different experiences in our lifetime, which could be trauma, it could just be other unpleasantness, or didn't work out. I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to put that in, add a new compartment, please. Um, and I like how you use the word. Your source energy is there to meet you, and I would also love people to encourage that the loving adult you is that source energy. That behind
Mhm.
any door, all you have to offer it, the first thing you have to offer it is love, compassion, and any amount of hugs that it needs. I have found that that approach allows us to integrate the source energy in a way that is always accessible, not something you need to tap into. It's not the light you connect to, it's the light you are,
Mhm.
right? And that by having that approach of readiness, it
Mhm.
makes it less scary, and it allows for a system of openness for whatever compartments you may stumble across. And you guys, there may not be any.
Mhm.
There are those of us that have been in this reality. It's not that nothing bad happened to them. It's that we wouldn't even call it trauma. Because like, oh yeah, that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay somehow. There may not be any lurking skeletons in your closet, you guys. But if there are, that's great. And I want you to have a system for it. And if there aren't, please don't go looking for it. Please don't manufacture anything, right?
Absolutely.
The other thing, when you mentioned something very important earlier, Janet, another important thing, when you said, when I was describing subconscious and the reprogramming of it, you said to me, those are beliefs. And I just want to philosophically address that or offer something there.
Mm.
For a lot of us, the subconscious, they are the beliefs that you've decided are true for you. That's not the only thing the subconscious is, but beliefs are a part of that in my work. Anyway, so I wanted to offer that too. And then also, I felt like a checklist was kind of arising as we're going through these important experiences and exercises that you're offering. It's like as we're recognizing where your life might be, where you might have more friction, where you might feel there's self sabotage or some embedded fear that you just embedded block you just can't get to, but maybe you've been trying everything. There's almost like a checklist I want to offer. Could it be childhood related? Imprinting, all those things. Could it be past life related? I have found most spiritual communities and conventional communities only get to those two.
Mm.
The third one that I find very important and very valuable are pre-life, pre-incarnation research that you have access to as a soul. You could go at any one of those three, and get great results. And I don't feel like they have to be done in any linear order. I have found in my work, I tend to actually start at that third one. Well, actually, that's not true because I have found a lot of benefit there, but I'll go to any of them that I need to, that I'm led to, given the outcome that you're looking for and that I sense is available. But I tend to skip that past life one. And I, it's disappointing to me as a fellow practitioner when so many practitioners immediately go to, oh, well, you're afraid of sharks in a mountain lake in McCall because of a past life. You were eaten alive by a shark in the Mediterranean in a lifetime. And I'm just like, I don't think that's true. And again, how useful? What was the word you used in number 38? That's
Helpful.
not helpful. That thought's not helpful, right? So what are you going to do about that now? Because it doesn't just go away. Why doesn't it go away? Because the research is still there. So even if there were no other lifetimes where you even ever encountered a shark, if your research indicated, if you're a soul that does research before you come to reality with a lot of risks and, ways you can die, which is true of this reality, the shark research is still there. So that's why it's still coming up. So acknowledging, oh yeah, that's right, I definitely don't want to be eaten alive by a shark. Okay, so you respect the research without it spilling over into areas of this actual practical reality where there is zero risk of that happening. Okay, so it isolates. It's almost, to use the word compartmentalizes. It compartmentalizes the research in a more practical way
Mm.
that the human may not have been as capable of running and appropriately engineering, literally programming. It was like misfiring software.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine tuning that software in a way
Yes,
where it works a heck of a lot better.
completely. And then you don't have you're not on a boat with somebody saying, well, I'm not going to swim because I had a past life, which is, and some of them, if they're like me, are going, I don't know if that's true. Right. But if you believe it's true, that's fine. But also, did you want to get in and swim in the lake? It's 100 degrees outside and the lake feels really refreshing. Right. So it empowers you.
Yeah.
It gives you more sovereignty for the stories and the truths and the beliefs that you're running as your software. And I want that for everybody.
And in that example, even considering that there may not be any danger in the lake is not considered. So, like, let's consider all these different possibilities. And then in this now, use our sensory abilities and our minds and our hearts and our bodies to see what a really good decision would be here. Because then we can make a good decision. And if we, miss a little piece of information, we'll deal with it. And that's okay. But let's consider that there may not be any problems.
That's right. Oh, that's like a bumper sticker. In a great, I love a good bumper sticker, and I think that would be a great one. There may not be any problems. And then again, when we were talking earlier, I started off with, do you want to go in the lake?
Yeah,
Because if you don't want to, you don't even need a reason.
exactly. Exactly. I did want to just, I love the checklist and I love everything we've talked about so far. And I wanted to put this out there because there's the avoidance factor of even looking at it from the get go. So let's address that a bit, about, oh, I don't want to go there because whatever the reason is. And I just want to present, because this is very operational in my system, that I might do that a little bit. Then I'm like, wait a minute. It's kind of the metaphor that sometimes the door to open to go where I want to go is this one door. And I don't want to open that door. I want to open the other ones. And so I try all the other ones and come to find out that's the door I need to open. And so this is kind of analogous with that, where if that's the door to open, so let me accept first that I don't want to open the dang door. Let me just say, okay, I get that. There's part of me, only a part of me that does not want to open that door. Okay. If I can accept that, right? Because I'm aware that there's something going on here that's not desirable or working for me. Right? That's my clue. I don't go looking for stuff, but if that shows up, let's look at it. And so then it's like, okay, so I'm aware. And you know what? Cost benefit analysis, I'm going to open the door.
Yes.
And then the next step is I can really get a level of soulful excitement about opening the door, because I know that if I open that door, because I've already proved to myself through my own experimentation, that's the door. I know something amazing is going to happen.
Oh, this, you just touched on one of the most empowered and true aspects of true growth and true transformation. And I would say transcendence,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Um, I'm going to talk about a technique and then I'll share a story. I've shared it before, but it fits here really well.
Okay.
One of the techniques for what you're talking about is that I've used, and I highly recommend it, even if it's, oh, I'll give an example later, but what's the last thing you want to be able, what's the last door you want to open? What's the scariest door we're talking about? And in the example of somebody that's like experimenting with like keto based
Mm,
food eating, and and they'll kind of, just in casual, not in a work, but in a just a casual conversation, I'm trying keto, and I'm like, oh, what are you trying so far? What have you said no to, and what are you saying yes to? And they're like, well, it's, and then if it's not working, I'll say, well, what are you unwilling? What do you feel like you can't give up to truly do keto?
mm.
And then they pause for a minute and they look at me like that's my secret one I can't tell. And I find it's often two things: wine and cheese. And they say it almost like they're giving up a secret to themselves. And I'll offer to them, even just like in a real estate coworker situation, I'm wondering if you actually could go 5 days without cheese or 5 days without wine, and it actually gets you more results than the 10 other things that you've given up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, because if they really want the results, if they really want the outcome and to truly experiment with something like ketogenic eating, then their self-protection of what I won't give up wine and I won't give up cheese,
Yeah.
that is the self-sabotage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or somebody that is trying to get financial freedom finally. And they're like, well, I won't give up buying every package that's offered to me on the telesummit that I love. Or I won't give up online shopping. I won't give up this. And they're basically outing their weakness,
Yeah.
which probably is them where they're going to get the most benefit. It's there are so many ways I know that Janet and I that we use to assist people in getting friendlier with those things that are going to get the best outcome, that seem like they are just that one's non-negotiable, Jill. I will not give up wine. I will not give up cheese. I will not give up online spending, etc.
Yeah, for myself, if I hear any words similar to "I will not" coming out of my mouth, I
Yeah.
pause, because my experience has been pretty much that that will get challenged at some point.
Hmm.
And I've played with this so much that I don't like those sorts of challenges. It's like, "Oh, do I really wanna get hit on the side of the head with a 2 by 4 this time?" Because there's something about the flexibility of our creative flow here,
Hmm.
where if I'm hanging on to anything too tightly, that blocks the flow of source energy that I am.
Yeah.
And how if that's not accessible, there's power there. So, who wants to run at 75% or 60% or even less, depending on how big the attachment is? I don't. It's a
Yeah.
handicapped. It's a
Right.
handicap, like a golf handicap, like, "Oh, that's 10 strokes right there," or that's, like, "Ooh."
Yes. So when we're talking about reprogramming your subconscious, we've talked about three different kind of layers, three different steps that are not steps, they're not steps, three different categories
Mm,
of areas to potentially reprogram. Um, Current life, things that happen to you, reincarnation stories,
mm,
flashbacks, possibly. And then the third one being pre-incarnation research and design features that are misfiring. I think you used that word. That was great in this reality. So when you couple that with why do any modes of therapy, alchemy, healing, why are we even discussing the subprogramming? Because your thoughts are on one level. And if the roots are the subprogramming, the roots are the subconsciousness. And there are multiple ways to explore those, offer new truths, offer fresh perspectives, offer healing, offer alchemy that are life changing. And it once you get to this a scary one, that part of you is like, I don't want to do this or I can't do this. Once you get comfortable with facing what seems to some layers of you as the most terrifying, the easier it gets. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Jenna, because that's so true. And I did want to offer us kind of a silly little story that I've experienced. I definitely have a part of my Jill that really wants to be liked by pretty much anyone. I love to be liked. It's a very for part of my Jill, that's like winning. And I was in an experience at somebody else's retreat. It's the only time I've actually been at somebody else's retreat. And I don't mean that to sound braggy, but it is true. It's nothing to brag about. It was transformational. And the first thing we did when we all got together, we were instructed, it's maybe 12 guests, it wasn't a big group. What's the last thing you want us to know about you? We hadn't even said, hello, my name is Jill. I live in Boise, Idaho. It was, what's the last thing you want us to know about you? And I was like, and I think I shared this before. My initial instinct given how I know myself now, was definitely arrogant. It was, well, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing I wouldn't want this group to know. I'm very evolved. I'm a very enlightened being. You don't know. I'm going to show you how enlightened I am. And all of a sudden, there was this inner voice of, well, I don't want them to know this. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want them to know that. That is something to me that is unlikable. I would never introduce myself with that. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing here. And I acknowledged that I was here for a transformational experience. So I went first. I said, I'll go first because I did want to be confident in that way. But it did not feel comfortable to say what I said. But all of a sudden, all my layers, including the subconscious, were like, well, that was not fun, but we're still here. We didn't dematerialize. We didn't die. And I'm still intact. Huh. That's okay. And I started with the scariest thing. And then I didn't realize that throughout these 3 days together, that's how we would start every session. And I had to really dig deep. And I'm like, I really think I'm to the end of things I don't want to talk about. There was always more. And I'm like, okay. So that system broke me in the right ways from a rigidity of a persona of I will only even acknowledge in my consciousness what I like about my Jill. And it seemed all those layers together. Did everybody have that experience? I don't know. But that was my experience. I seamed together those things. And ever since then, and this was probably 2014, everything has gotten more integrated from that one experience. And that's fascinating to think about. That if you go to a really scary door for you and you're in an environment or with a practitioner that allows that to be safe and okay, it could make everything in your life less scary.
Great story. I wanted to offer, I loved when you talked about kind of the underground, right? And I wanted to talk about that in terms of drivers. I've used that term multiple times here. Let's talk about that for a minute. Our source consciousness moves through us as us. That's a driver. Our sub unconscious is a driver. So, do you have a mechanism for discerning which one's at the wheel? And it could be multiple drivers at the same time, right? I might have something that's kind of a source, a creative, like, oh, I want this to happen. And then all these other sub unconscious things come up because it's scary. It's just like, oh, you can't because don't, blah, 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 right? So it's not like it's a single thing. And so, what's the mechanism for determining what is affecting my action or my inaction? Do you have a system for that? I bet you do, Jill. Go ahead. Let's hear yours. Let's hear your. Oh wow.
I kind of want to hear yours first. I mean, you teed up the ball. I want you to hit it first, and then
Oh,
I'll go.
wow. This to me is where my sensory aspects of myself are very important. And because we didn't really talk about, yeah, this is kind of a side topic here, but I'll bring it up here because it's relevant. So some people may not feel they have anything to deal with, like they've dealt with all their stuff in a particular situation. And that's cool. I mean, there's always more for us to learn and grow and whatever. And what we didn't really talk about is what's in the physical body versus the etheric body. And how, when it gets stuck in the physical body, that blocks everything else. Because that's like the last hurrah when you think about how things get created, right? So So for people that are not really in touch with their physical body, you may find that there are things there that might surprise the crap out of you. Whew, just want to take a breath here.
Mm.
When we talk about drivers, our bodies are probably one of the most brilliantly designed mechanisms. And I can include a lot of realities in that
Mm.
because our bodies have such possibilities that we have not really turned on yet. And I'm talking about dimensional capacity, dematerializing, being able to do things with certain energetics that we just haven't mastered. The self-healing capabilities, we certainly have room to grow in that in terms of what our bodies can do, right? So our bodies are very important, and they are very good at taking direction, especially when we are from the source frequency. Our bodies also can be reprogrammed so that they can reflect what's possible for them. So if I'm discerning what the driver is, I know for myself, I've got source consciousness in every cell of my being, right? And I know that my belief system is the stargate of our sacred hearts is a central location that I can tap into. And when I feel something, I will feel tension or I will feel relaxation. Oftentimes, that's information. And that's true in all of my body. I believe I have a divine mind. I believe I have a divine heart, divine body. Everything is source. And when all that gets in alignment, there's a heck of a lot of information. And so pains in the body can indicate that there's something in my subunconscious because it might be body centered that can be a driver. A big emotional charge, a sense of urgency. These are all clues that something might not be in alignment. I have to. The feeling is different when it comes from a pure source driver, a creative, unconditionally love based driver, versus I have to, or I'm gonna be threatened in some way, right? If I'm compensating, fear is one of the big clues of whether it's something that's in my unconscious that needs to be addressed. And if I can determine that and have my own system for that, wow, I can navigate things in the moment. Wow, that's a fear driver. I'm in a business meeting. I'm in a parent teacher conference, and I was like, whoa, there's the fear driver. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to let that drive right now. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to let my source consciousness be here actively and take the wheel. And I may not be able to interact or say in the way that I would like to, because in that moment, until I make that adjustment, and then I can let that other part drive. And then I can invite things like, I don't know, that's possible, versus reacting, right? There's different ways I can respond when I feel that fear so strongly that it doesn't resolve in the moment. Because sometimes it will. Just by that, it's like, whoa, pop out. This drives. So, stillness, breath, attentiveness, what's happening in my body, and that reminder that I'm source and cannot be. And this could be a messy moment on earth. Okay, I can accept that. Mostly. Most of the time. That was a lot. I'm not even sure I addressed the issue. I did? I think I did.
It was an important addition that you made. Um, this um, the hypothesis
Mm.
slash belief slash truth that there's the physical body of consciousness, there's the etheric body of consciousness, and that there's I'm aware of this from mainly healers that I associate, I'm friends with, etc. Um, this is important, you guys. That I'm trying to feel into how for those that believe that that is definitely true, that my asthma that I've had since 6 years old started in the etheric body or began in the physical body, and there's some sort of healing related to the delineating between those two. I think that is awesome if that's working for you. I actually don't go there. Um, I don't go to that delineation. I'm never asking those questions about, well, is it in your physical body or the etheric body? But some practitioners do. And there are options across the board. That's not my menu item. I have concerns about it because I, for whatever reason, have accepted the fact that I've had asthma since I was 6 years old.
Mm.
I live with it. I don't take medication every day. I don't feel like it's a hindrance to my life. I have had clients that are looking at a cancer diagnosis as something that they need to examine and ask those important questions about. Was it in my etheric, when did it get in my etheric body? Because now it's in my physical body. And what can I do to clear it in my physical body? And what can I do to clear it in my etheric body so I don't get this back again? And it doesn't always go the way they want it to go. So I've had concerns
Mm.
in my practical human experience as my Jill, and maybe even as my soulful experience as Jill, that that may work for some and it may not work for some, and we need also other options in case it doesn't work. So there's something about that, and it could be blinders that I have on, and I will completely admit that might be the case here. Um, Anyway, so I just wanted to offer that for some individuals, I mean, it would break my heart if my sister had had a healing session from somebody on March 18th, going, in some, expensive or not even even a free session of, well, I know exactly what to do for you. And let's do this and let's do that. And I think it's gone, or this could cure your cancer. And then she dies on April 20th on Easter Sunday. You know what I mean? I feel like there are some applications of it that may not apply, and I don't know the difference, but I'm just asking everybody to trust yourself. If you feel like that is a path of alchemy, healing, transformation, reprogramming that is useful, then please try it. Please do it, and I won't be your practitioner if that's what you want to do. But Janet's amazing, right? And there's probably other things that I would talk to you about related to, well, how do you feel about the cancer diagnosis? What are you feeling can happen? What are you afraid of? How can I assist with that? And I'll be tapping into your soulfulness and probably offering insight before you even ask those questions. But I won't be covering those layers. Or I shouldn't say that. I won't be addressing things in that structure.
Mm.
Anyway, Jenna, I felt like I had to offer that because I could feel audience members getting a lot of healing from what you were offering.
Mm.
And I was off to the side recognizing I don't want to get in the way of anyone having a purely alchemical experience from that. And it was also like, but what if somebody's thinking like I'm thinking,
Yeah.
or has the nature or experience that I have of, if that works for you, great. And if it doesn't, now what?
Yeah. Yeah, and my point in bringing that up is, ignoring the body is not advised.
Mm.
And I'm not one that has a structured approach really to anything that I do. And the people that are ignoring the source frequency of their body are missing out. And that doesn't mean anything necessarily, except for the fact that our body is source energy and has capabilities, and what we use to interact with our society. So I think you brought up a really there can be blame, or I'm not doing it right, or so many different ways that people could use that relationship between the body and the other aspects of us in very non-helpful and distractive ways. And I do not support that at all. And what I want for people and hope people can experience is the power that's in your body, and that you can work with it in whatever way that matters for you and is effective for you.
And whatever it's doing. Thank you for that, Janet. Now I see in hindsight even more why I brought that up, because I did sense there was more to what you were offering, and what you were sharing there, which was already powerful and already soulful. And there's other layers of it that there is zero benefit in my mind and in my soul and in my mind, body, spirit. There is zero benefit to somebody that is experiencing an ailment that the storyline is, I brought this on myself, I caused this.
Mhm.
That is not helpful. You have it. Let's face it. Let's see what's possible. Let's see how much well being and ease and grace and maybe even joy amidst some sort of dis-ease is
Mhm.
possible,
Mhm.
because that's
And
not
I
all you
think
are.
and I think what you shared about with your sister's passing, I don't remember what episode that was, you shared a lot about
Whew.
how to navigate that process with such heart, I wanna say.
Thank
And
you.
if people, could benefit from that, please go back and listen. There were some very, very powerful discussions we had around that, that basically defies a lot of what people might believe around it.
Yeah. And the self-love that's in this integrated conversation about what the beautiful wisdom that you shared, and then hopefully the beautiful wisdom I shared as well, it
Mhm.
marries them together, that we are our source energy. And I love the addition that you added, that one of the reasons that you're probably passionate about the, is it in your body, or is it in your etheric, is, are you even in your body, which is very common for many reasons, inside the spiritual community, outside the spiritual community. Not being all the way in your bodysuit is not recommended, you guys. You're a physical being. And there's hopefully everything that Janet and I are doing is allowing that to be more soulful, more connected, more enjoyable to you, to your version of enjoyment, um, and less scary,
Yeah.
even with sharks in the ocean.
I mean, haven't you seen the videos where people are in the ocean with a shark and they basically push its nose away and then it goes away? I mean, come on. I've seen that. And people, so there's all these ideas we have about these things that aren't really applicable always, right?
Well, do you
Like,
mean the versions of that where the spiritual minded yoga teacher got her leg bitten by the shark after it came
oh,
back pissed off? Or do you
yeah.
mean the woo-woo version where she defied the laws of the shark and it was like, oh, never mind, you're too high vibe for me?
I mean the diver that's in the ocean and
Okay.
swims around sharks all the time and knows what they're,
Okay.
and has a really good grounded idea about what sharks are and who they are and know that there's an inherent risk in it. And they have learned through their experience and their soulfulness too, that's always there,
Yeah.
about how to interact with this in a way that's probably 82% successful, and maybe even a bit higher because it's what they do and who they are.
Thank you for adding the
No.
context because we all see different things on the news, right? And
Yeah.
what was she doing? Like 2 feet away from the shark? Yes, it's little, but she literally got her leg bit. And then your version is no, they swim with sharks still. And so thank you for the added context because I was definitely going to the no offense to the yoga teachers.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we joked about that in, one of our earlier podcasts. It's
Yes,
like,
we did.
"It's a bear!" Like, I'm tired of people pretending that it's not a bear. Like, it's a
Yes.
freaking bear, do what you
And
need to do because it can hurt you, like,
yes.
mm,
Yeah.
can't overspirit that in many cases here on this pla
And high vibe your way out of
Yeah.
cancer, can't high vibe your way out of sharks, bears, all the things, people.
Oh,
We're grounded, aren't we, Janet?
no. I mean, it's possible for that to happen, and I've seen it, but
Yes,
don't count on it as, "I can do it because." That's not what it looks like when it happens, you know?
that's right. Yeah. Oh, this
Oh
one
my
from the
goodness.
topic of reprogramming and adding new codes to our subconscious. I like how many ways we went around it. I really do. And I think that there were some, I was surprised by some of them in a positive way.
Yeah,
Um, we're both just so focused on personal empowerment, Janet,
I know.
and the ability that we have to transcend and transform. And there are multiple ways of doing that. I love that we acknowledge the counseling and therapeutic communities, and that there is great benefit for some people of re-examining their human history and how that's affecting them today. I love that
Mhm.
we've acknowledged that for those that maybe are more conventional spiritual practitioners, that they're all about the past lives and the Akashic records and all of those things. And there can be tremendous benefit from that. And there's maybe these newer kind of ideas that are possibly even more effective for some people that maybe haven't gotten all the benefit they wanted to from those other two options.
Mhm. And I love the experience that we provided, and I mean, all of our podcasts are this,
Mhm.
and so if you haven't listened to one from an experiential level, perhaps listen again and allow yourself to have that, because this is all about you as the source that you are and what's possible for you. And that is here. And this one was loaded in that way. They all are. But this had a flavor of it that I haven't heard talked about as much. And so I think there's a really cool thing about that. More added benefit that perhaps can open up things for you
Hmm.
that hadn't been opened before, which is you.
Yeah. The other thing, and maybe this is in closing, for anyone that felt uncomfortable at different parts, um, I would just encourage you to put to practice what Janet and I had talked about earlier, that there's a very loving version of you, your version of loving that is willing and ready and able to embrace any layers of discomfort within you.
Yeah. And that's in here in spades.
Mm,
If you listen to this just focused on that,
yeah.
that could be a very powerful experience. Yeah. Thanks so much, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You
Thanks,
guys,
everybody.
oh, go ahead. You do this part. You do
Yeah.
the closing.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, so much for listening, watching. Please share this. This one in particular, I really like what came through here. So please share it with anybody. Please please subscribe, and just thanks so much for participating with us today and hanging with us. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Until next time.
All right. Bye.